Look, I didn't think there was anyone more painful to listen to than Kamala Harris or Joe Biden until I heard from the First Lady of Minnesota, Gwen Waltz. Here she is.
Are you ready? Let's hear it loud and clear like we said. Mr. Trump, Mr. Vance, please mind your own business. Oh, that was excellent.
She needs to stop. If she wants to really help her husband, Tim Waltz, she actually needs to stop.
This follows that appearance she made last week where she was saying, we're going to do bye-bye to Donald Trump, treating the audience at a rally as though they were like kindergartners who had to turn the page. She was doing the motion.
Forgetting that Joe Biden's the president.
It's so weird. And she actually, when Tim Waltz was named VP, had a moment that gave a lot of people pause when it was dug back up. And it was her talking about how she had opened the windows of their Minneapolis home to smell the fires of the riots in 2020 that happened while Tim Waltz was governor of Minnesota. A very famous moment in modern American history at this point when Minneapolis was burning. And she said she opened the windows of the home just to smell the fires coming from the riots. So she's not exactly coming across as like typical American housewife, if that's what they're going for. It's coming across a little bit darker than that, to be honest.
Next week, we will see Tim Waltz and JD Vance take to the stage in a debate. What are you expecting from this?
It's a good question. You know, I think a lot of people on the right underestimate Tim Waltz's appeal with sort of people in the suburbs. Now, if you look in Minneapolis, or if you look in Minnesota, I should say, he's actually never really done particularly well with rural voters. They've voted for people other than Tim Waltz, in fact, even though national Democrats are advancing him as some sort of rural American whisperer. But with suburban voters, there's something that could really make them more comfortable with this sort of affable, middle-aged assistant football coach. If Tim Waltz, if a version of Tim Waltz that's, you know, kind of good at campaigning comes out, JD Vance, I think, can come across as harsh. I, personally like JD Vance, and I think he can come across really well. But if you're pushing him to talk all day about issues where he's uncomfortable right now, talking about the differences between him and Donald Trump on abortion, that's an issue that's going to be better for Tim Waltz, and Tim Waltz is going to be more comfortable with it. He's not the worst politician in the world. I think he's kind of a weird guy, but he's at least, he's not his wife. I'll say that.
Right. Okay. And what impact do you think it will really make to the campaign? Are people really paying attention to these two?
No, it'll have very little effect on the campaign, but it'll be a very big moment I think for understanding where the country is headed. I think a lot of people will be watching it with curiosity because these two men are now new celebrities.
Yeah.
And it'll drive the news cycle. There's no question about it. It'll drive the news cycle. I don't think it will weigh on the minds of many voters, though, when they actually go to cast their ballots.
Now let's look to Donald Trump. Ryan Wesley Routh has been charged with attempted assassination after allegedly spending 12 hours on Donald Trump's golf course in Florida. And now Trump's campaign has also revealed that Donald Trump has been briefed about a real and specific threat from Iran to assassinate him. Yet, of course, we heard Joe Biden making jokes on The View earlier about Trump being squashed, which is unbelievable. But these are really scary times for Donald Trump, and now he's heading back to Butler, Pennsylvania on October 5. He's pretty brave, Emily.
I mean, going back to Butler, Pennsylvania is going to be a very powerful moment for Donald Trump. No two ways about it. I would expect him. One thing that, I say this not cynically as though he's just capitalizing the political benefits of it. I don't mean that. There are though, obviously, political benefits to be gained from looking strong and from looking like you're just facing down your enemies. And that's what I would expect Donald Trump to really, really emphasize when he's back in Butler. Now, I'm curious to see how partisan the speech is, because a lot of people expected the RNC speech to be this move to the center, to be an appeal to persuadable voters. And it started that way. And then when he went off script, it got very partisan, much to the dismay of some of his staff. But that's Donald Trump. And, I have a hard time imagining he goes to Butler and is, some sort of milquetoast, mushy middle type of guy. So I think he's looking for a really big moment.
Absolutely. Well, we will wait and see. Of course, praying for his safety after what's happened over the past couple of months. But Emily Jashinsky, UnHerd correspondent, or DC correspondent at UnHerd, I should say. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.